On guys, it's Steven here from Powell's Power Ups, and I got a tutorial for you. You got a profi board, right? Maybe it's in a saber, or maybe it's a brand new one and you want to put it in a saber. Well, you came to the right video. I'm going to show you how to get that thing up and running as quickly as possible, okay? So let's go over it. First thing you're going to need is a profi board. So if you got one in a saber already, that's fine. Just go ahead and get it ready. Maybe pull the chassis out to where you can access the micro USB that's on the profi board, or you got a brand new profi board and you haven't put it in a saber yet, you can actually just go ahead and get it out just like this one, and you can configure and program this thing without ever having to hook it up into a saber. Not like the CFX. The CFX, you actually have to have supply power to the board, and you gotta basically do it that way. But with this one, you can just hook it up with a USB cord. So that's excellent. Next thing you're gonna need is an SD card, okay? A micro SD card. Make sure that you get one that is fast enough. If you Google the Profi 2.2 manual, read down inside of there, there is a chart, shows different SD cards, and it shows you which ones are in the good, better, and best category. I recommend getting an SD card from the best category, which most of them actually come with one from the best category, but still there's a little bit of lag sometimes if you do stuff too fast in the Profi, I've noticed. That is the one that I get with the Proffieboard. It's the ScanDisk Ultra. It's like a gray and red colored one, but that's the one that comes with it. It's a 16 gig. Anyway, the third thing you're gonna need is a data cable. USB on one end, it can be whatever type, and then micro USB on the other end that you're gonna hook into the Proffieboard. Um, and then we can get started. So first thing you need to know with the Proffieboard, sound fonts. You're gonna get sound fonts, maybe a Kylo Ren sound font, maybe you wanna get a Ray sound font, whatever it is, those are gonna go on the SD card. And that's it. That's all that goes on the SD card, only sound fonts. If you have a background in Sabers and you've ever worked with a Crystal Focus X, or if you've watched my other tutorial videos on Crystal Focus X, you know that all the configuration is done on the SD card, and that's it. But with the Proffieboard, it ain't like that. The only thing that goes on the SD card is the fonts. So you're going to buy them, you're going to drag and drop them, and you're going to put them on the SD card. Okay, it's really simple. I'll show you what it looks like right now, just to kind of go over it. So if you buy a sound font from, say, you get it from Kyberphonic, maybe you get it from saberfont.com, most of them will have Proffieboard compatible sound fonts. They'll already be organized for you, and it's literally just drag and drop onto your SD card. Mine's right here, Profi SD. It's already been formatted. There's nothing on it. It's a clean slate, okay? So I'm going to go into my downloaded fonts here. We'll pick K-Sith Crossguard. When you download the fonts, it should look something like this, where you have a few different options: Proffieboard, CFX, and extras. So if we go into the Proffieboard one, we have 3 different fonts, and that's just with this particular font. You might not always have 3, you might just have 1. But when you go inside of one of them, you'll notice there's a bunch of folders here. We have begin drag, we have drag, force, hums, ins, outs, spins, swing sounds, and some configuration. If you get it from somebody reputable like KSIT or Kyberphonic, it's already going to be set up for you. You don't have to do anything to it. Okay. All you're going to do is take your sound fonts. Maybe I want all 3 of these. You're going to copy them and you are going to paste them on your SD card. Paste. Just like that. And once they're on there, that's it. You eject your SD card, and that is all that goes on there. Next, we'll move on to configuring the Proffieboard. So to configure the Proffieboard, you are going to need some special software, and there are some instructions to follow on how to get ready to do that. So I'm going to run you through the whole process right now. So I'll go ahead and close this. I'll eject my SD card. Bam. And so you can set that aside, and that is ready to be installed on your Saber once it's finished. And if you want to add, sound fonts to your Saber once you've already got it, that's one of the steps you have to do. But also configuration is another step. So let's get to that software. So you can pull up the internet, whatever search bar you have, just type in there Proffieboard version 2.2. By the way, that's what Proffieboard we're working with now, not the 1.5 or the 2.2. So you're going to click this first one here, frederick.hubby.net. You'll know it's the right one because it says Proffieboard version 2, and it has a picture of the Proffieboard. It looks exactly like the one that you should have in your hand. The significant thing with 2.2 that you can tell is the gold colored button, those two little eye looking buttons right there. Anyway, scroll down. There's some information stuff here about the Proffieboard. This is kind of important. We'll come back to it later. The button layout and the pad layout here. These are what the soldering pads are for. These are important if you're an installer, okay? Next, more information about it. And then we come to what's called the configurator. So if you already have a saber that has a Proffieboard installed, this has already been done. Don't worry about it. If you're going to install a Proffieboard, this is very important for a couple reasons. One, you get a wiring diagram. Two, it pre-sets up your configuration for you in a special document that we use. Let's say we're going to build a Kylo Ren lightsaber, okay? First thing we're going to do is look at our blades and our LEDs. We got a few options here. We're going to go with a NeoPixel, and it's a cross guard, so I'm going to go with a NeoPixel cross guard. And then if you had a crystal chamber, I would maybe pick that, but I'm not going to have that. I would put in here how many LEDs I had in my main blade, and then I would pop in here how many I had in my side blades, like that. I would select how many switches I had. Maybe I'm just going to run a single switch, and then I would put, whether or not I had an OLED screen or Bluetooth or something. Now notice as I'm doing this, down below that wiring diagram is changing. So once you get this all set up, bam, you have a wiring diagram that shows you how to wire everything up. Also, when you go down further, is the actual document used to configure the Proffieboard, okay? Or to configure parts of it, kind of tell it what to do. This document, as you change that configurator, things in it change. The number of blades in it changes, the number of buttons in it changes, so that's a few things to keep note on. Some things we can go ahead and change with this configuration right off the top here in this top section is volume. Okay, now also note with volume, when you change this, you are setting the max volume. Okay, you can turn it down later in your saber, but this is going to be the max volume. So just because I know this off the top of my head, the max volume is 3,000. So I like to go with 75% of that for safety and longevity and preservation of your speaker. I don't go any higher than 75. 2250 is 75% of 3,000. Okay. Then another thing we can change right off the bat is the clash threshold. 1.0, just because I know this from experience, is very, very sensitive and everything will trigger a clash. So make sure you go ahead and turn that up. I like 2.5, maybe even up to 3. Seems to be a nice sweet spot range. So that's something you can do, okay? And then that's all we're going to do in the top section. But let's take note, or I'll just explain this. There are 3 sections. We might add a 4th later. There are 3 sections in this configuration document, okay? Every section begins with IFDEF right there, and every section ends with ENDIF, okay? So the second one you notice starts here, okay? And then it's pretty long, the second section is, okay? But you'll notice it ends here. And then the third section starts there and it ends there. Now, the first section, we already adjusted. We're not going to mess with it anymore. The last section only involves your buttons, which is already set up when you did the configurator. So we're not going to mess with any of that. Now, the only section we're going to mess with is the middle section. Okay, now this is really important when it comes to customizing your Proffieboard. Okay, let's go ahead and just delete most of that. You can, if you want to, maybe this is a smart suggestion. If you want to, first copy that whole thing and paste it into another document and save it, just so you have a base document to refer back to. Because when it comes to this configuration document, every parentheses that you see, every quotation mark you see, every comma that you see is relevant. It all has to be there, and it can't be missing or in the wrong spot when you go to configure the Proffieboard. Now, what doesn't matter is spaces. So You can put, 10 spaces right here if you want to in between some stuff, and that's okay. What you can't do is delete a comma or delete a parenthesis. Okay, that stuff matters and it has to be there. So I'm going to go ahead and put those back right now. But just for learning purposes, I'm going to go ahead and take most of this and delete it. And I'm just going to get it down to where we have one preset so that I can explain what presets are. Just like that. And I'm also going to delete this stuff right here, which is just instructions. It's kind of telling you about how to set some stuff up, but we don't need that because we're not even going to use it. There, now it's a lot smaller and we can look at it. So I'm going to put some spaces in here just so we can look at it, okay? So here is a preset. All right, now a preset is two things. It is or three things. It's three things, sorry, three parts. It's the fonts, right? It's tracks that are in the fonts. So tracks can be quotes, tracks can be background sound, tracks can be theme music, tracks can be, movie scenes like the sounds, can be whatever's on the SD card, but there's the name of the font, okay, tracks, and then lastly, the blade effects or blade styles is what they're called with Proffieboard. So here they have the stock ones as teensy SF, but we're not going to use that because that's not the font we put on our SD card. We actually put on there TFA, right? And then for learning purposes, I'm actually going to copy this 3 times because if you remember, we did 3 fonts on the SD card, didn't we? So I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it down here 2 more times. And then I'm going to space it out because remember we said spaces were okay. I'm going to space it out so it's easier for me to look at. So I'm going to build 3 presets because I put 3 fonts on my SD card, right? TFA was the first one, The Last Jedi, TLJ, was the second, and the third one was Tross, right? The Rise of Skywalker. Next, with the Proffieboard, just because I know this, the current operating system for Proffieboard can only play 1 track, and that track on your SD card is probably named track 1, so that's all you're going to change that name to there. If you don't know if it's named track 1, go check it. You can either change it on the SD card to track 1, or whatever that track is named, you could come back here and put that name here. Maybe it's named Kylo_theme, So you would come here and you would write Kylo_theme. It would have to match, okay? Now, so the first part was the font, second part is the tracks. The third part, these things right here are blade styles. Okay, these are the effects, like the unstable effects and like how the saber it retracts and ignites and how it has lockups and all that stuff, right? Chances are you saw FET263's blade styles maybe in a Facebook group, maybe you saw it on YouTube, and you're like, man, I want his blade styles on my Proffieboard. Well, this is how we're going to do it, okay? I'm going to show you how. So what you see there is really super basic blade styles. We're just going to go ahead and delete them. But before I delete them, I'm going to make note. There are 3 blade styles here under each of these presets because remember at the beginning in the configurator, we set up that we had a cross guard, which actually means that we have right here 1, 2, 3 blades, and it says it in our configuration, number of blades 3. So with the Proffieboard, each blade is going to have its own data line, and each blade then needs to be told what the blade style is. So there's 3 blade styles. Okay, so I'm going to delete them, but I'm going to leave the, actually, you know what? I'm not going to delete them yet. I'm not going to delete them yet. I'm going to leave them there for structure purposes. I'm just going to go get blade styles and come back and paste them and show you. So Proffieboard, yes, it is a lot of coding looking kind of stuff, but really it's just copy paste. You don't have to do any coding at all. We're going to get to it. FET263 blade style library. You can go ahead and search that on the internet. You'll see it right here, FET263.s3.us-east-2 Amazon AWS. It's probably going to be the first one. FET263's Proffieboard blade style. We're going to click it. We're going to go to it. First thing to take note of is the top section. We have Proffieboard version 2, right? We're going to put the latest operating system on it, which right now, July 23rd, is a 4.7. We'll get to that later. So you're going to click main OS style 4.x or later. So when you click that, you'll get some information that pops up here. Take your time, read through this stuff. Okay, he even has a thing here where you can refer back to how to use his styles. There's a thing here where he has his own set of buttons. And then he also has a note here that recommends if you use his styles to do this right here, to copy and paste these in the top section of your configuration. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. See, I recommend adding the following defines to the top section. That way you can enable click to change dual for dual phases and other styles. And then also to reduce memory on the board, you can disable diagnostic commands. So Bet263 or Fernando is a smart guy. He knows what he's talking about. So go ahead and do what he says. So we're going to go ahead and copy that. We're going to go back to our document. Now notice he says to paste it, okay, in between the following defines the top section of config. I think he says in here somewhere where to paste it. Maybe not. It doesn't say where to, but I just know off the top of my head. You're going to put that. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of something else. Back up. Add the following defines to the top section. So if you're, like I said, new to this and you're doing an install, you're going to do this. If you got a Proffieboard for me, it's already done. Now, we did that. Now that enables us to use some of his styles. The other thing that I was going to go over, I was already thinking ahead in my mind. That's why I was saying that. If you want FET263's buttons, okay, he has a video here that describes them. He even has a written out text here that says how they work. It's just basically his protocol for how the buttons are going to work. His are for 2-button controls. I like his a lot, so I use them. Now, these instructions here tell you to basically copy this, and you're actually going to add another section into this document that we're using for configuration. Go ahead, read through that. But just because I know, we're going to add it in between the first and second section so that it now becomes the second section. Look at that. So now when we get finished, okay, when we get finished, we'll be able to use these instructions to operate the saber. And I really like his buttons. I would recommend using them. I copy these and print them off. If you got a saber from me, the instructions are probably included. Let's see here. So I'll close that. Now we'll get to it. Okay, blade styles. Thank you so much for hanging in there. You're a trooper. Blade styles. As you scroll down, you'll notice a number of blade styles. Each one of them has a video that describes what they are, and next to them they have a written out description of what they are with several descriptions on what they include. Okay, let's say we want the film-based Kylo Ren unstable for each of our fonts. Okay, so right here at the bottom, you'll notice there's a little red thing that says Get Style Code. Okay, so you're going to click that. When you do, you'll have a drop down. Now the style code is going to start with a base color, which you're going to choose here, but the color isn't, permanent. You can change it later. Using his buttons, you can use a color wheel and change them, much like what you see I have on CFX. So we're going to go with red. Something else we're going to notice too, let me go back to that real quick. Something else I want you to notice too here, it says main blade, blades 2 and 3 for cross guards and crystal chamber. So like we talked about earlier, we have 3 blade styles because we have 3 blades. So the main blade is what we're going to go with first. We're going to get that code, copy, paste it. Then we're going to come back and we're going to go to blades 2 and 3, our side emitters, and we're going to get code from there and then paste it in the other 2 spots. So we'll go ahead and run through that now. So customize. So each of the blade styles in his library, you can completely customize. You can change the ignition effects, the timings on them, power on effects, retraction effects, lockup effects, all kinds of stuff. Some of them have descriptions where you can click a little question mark and there's a description there telling you what it is. And then some of them have an actual video hooked to them to where you can see what it looks like. Another way you can see what it looks like is by organizing. Oh, there's a big bug in here. Is by organizing all of this, or picking everything like you want it, and then you can go to the bottom and you can click the check in editor. So Proffieboard, this is a whole nother realm, a whole nother video that I'm not even going to get into, but I know FET263 makes a video course on how to use it. Proffieboard has what's called a style editor, okay? And you can literally build any style you can think of for a lightsaber here. And this is like an animation program that can show you what it'll look like. So whatever program you just built in his library is connected to this, and you can turn it on. You can do clashes, you can do lockups, and you can see if whatever style and effects that you picked, you can see if you liked it or not. Then you can go back and make changes, or if you like it, you'll be ready to go. So you can close that. Once you got it how you like it, you're going to click Get Style, and then it's going to copy it to your clipboard, or it's just copying it, and then you can go and paste it. Now remember earlier I said we had 3 blade styles, and what we just picked was the main blade. The first line is your main blade, okay? So we need that comma, so you're going to leave it there, but the style will include the brackets, so we're just going to hit Control V, bam, and we now have the first blade style for our main blade. Now notice that comma is still there and the brackets are there too, okay? Now that looks like a bunch of mumbo jumbo and coding and whatnot, but you don't have to mess with none of it. It's already done for you. All you're doing is copy pasting, right? So now we're gonna do the same thing for our side blades. So we're gonna go back to his library, we're gonna close that. We're gonna go to blades 2 and 3, we're gonna customize it however we want it, and then at the bottom we can check it if we want, and then we can click Get Style. It's copied, we close that, we go back. I'm going to go ahead and close this. I don't need it anymore. We go back and we're going to paste that blade style for our side blades. Now, because we want, with Kylo's crossguard, I want the side blades to issue the same thing. So I'm going to put the same blade style on each line. Control V. And there it is. Look at that. Spaced out. That way it's easy to look at. We have our first preset done. TFA, The Force Awakens. The first track is what we want to play. And then we have the blade styles applied to each blade. And that's it. That's the first preset. Remember we said a preset was the fonts and the blade styles that are going to go on those fonts. Now, if I wanted to, let's say I wanted the same blade styles for my TFA font, I could just copy this like this, right? Control C. I could go down here to this second preset. I could copy all this. I want that comma there. I could copy all this and I could just hit Control V or paste. And I would now apply those same blade styles to my second font, which is The Last Jedi. Okay. Now, let's say you want 2 different blade styles on The Force Awakens font, okay? You would just go and copy this, right? This preset, or you could just copy the first section here. You could do like this. You could copy this first section, okay? You could space it down, give yourself some space. You could paste it up here, and then you would do the same thing you did down below. You would just paste 3 new blade styles here. And then you can just order them how you want. Now, this page, as you start to add fonts, as you start to add blade styles, it's going to get pretty long. So I recommend, saving this as you go along. That way you can keep track of it, okay? So once you get configuration document set up how you want it, now we're going to go into, downloading the software that you need. That way you can get all of this uploaded onto your Proffieboard. So go ahead, take a timeout, go get yourself a drink of water like I'm going to do right now, and then come back and we'll get after it. All right, so I'm back. Now we're going to go into downloading the software that you need for the Proffieboard, okay? So right here above the document, if you scroll up a little bit, there it says here, config file. Cut and paste this into a new file called my_saber1.h, then follow the instructions on the software page. So don't worry about naming the file anything yet. We'll come to that later. But we are going to click this link to the software page. I'm just going to go ahead and open it in a new tab. Now, this page has all of the instructions on what you need to do to get your Proffieboard up and running. We're going to go ahead and scroll down to preparations for Proffieboard. Okay, we'll come back to some of that other stuff later, but this is really where you need to start. Number one, install the latest Arduino software. So I'm going to go ahead and open this in a new tab and show you what that looks like. I obviously already have it downloaded and installed, but I'm going to show you what it looks like. This is the website. Scroll down a little bit. And while you're doing this, you might have some pop-ups that ask you if you want to donate. You don't have to, but you can if you want to. But then when you're done, close that, scroll down a little bit, and this is where you want to get to, okay? On the right side there in the blue, you have the different operating systems. Pick the one that your computer that you have. I right now have a Windows 10. I used to have a Mac. I've done it on both. The process is almost the exact same. But pick your operating system and download it, okay? Once you're done with that, you can close it. It'll be downloaded. Don't open it yet. Next, we're going to install the latest, I'm at the wrong one, sorry. We're going to install the latest Proffieboard Arduino plugin. So we're going to open that in a new tab. So here it brings you to this website. Again, scroll down a little bit, and then we see right here Arduino plugin for Proffieboard. Again, we have specific instructions depending on what operating system you have. The first one, just because I know, is for Mac. Second one's Linux, and then the third one right here is Windows. So if you have a Mac, it's pretty straightforward and easy. If you have a Windows like I do now, you have to download another program called Zotic. So I'm going to open that in a new tab and show you what that looks like. Once you download Zotic, which you do by scrolling down and clicking right here, download Zotic 2.5, you'll have a little window that pops up on your screen, and that is Zotic. That's what it looks like. That's why the picture is there to show you. You're going to leave this open because you're going to follow these instructions right here. Download Zotic, plug in your Proffieboard, toggle those buttons, and then you follow the rest of those steps so that you can get the drivers replaced that you need to be replacing. Note here on number 2, plug in the Proffieboard, toggle reset button while holding the boot button. If you need to know where those buttons are, go back to the very first Proffieboard page we were on, scroll up a little bit, you'll see right there some big arrows pointing to you what is the boot and what is the reset button. They are really tiny. You have to kind of use your fingernails, but you can get it. So once you've downloaded those, right, you got Zotic done, you updated your drivers, then we can move on to step 3, which is select tools, boards, Proffieboards, or tools, boards, Proffieboard version 2. Just because I know it, it doesn't really say it. That's talking about inside the Arduino software. So once it's downloaded, we're going to open it. Okay, it's going to pop up. It's going to look like this. It's going to be a little square window. We're going to follow those instructions of step 3 once it opens. All right, so tools, like it says, we're going to go to, where does it say there? Boards. We're going to go to boards. We're going to go to Proffieboard, and then we're going to make sure we have version 2 selected. I already do because I've already done this. Step 4 is optional, but I recommend doing it. Also in the tools menu, you're going to do the USB type. It says in there to change it to this one right here, serial plus mass storage plus web USB. So go ahead and select that. I've already done it. That's why it's already selected. See, serial, web USB, mass storage. And now the 5th one, you may now proceed to installing ProfiOS on your board. So we're getting there, guys. We're moving along. Hang in there. So installing Proffieboard, or I'm sorry, ProfiOS on your Proffieboard. So just because I know this, because I've done it already, step 1 says to download and unzip the teensy saber software from above, but we're doing Proffieboard, so that's actually a typo. They need to fix that. What you are going to download is the Proffieboard version, which is right here, 4.7. You know what? You know what I just realized? I bet you that's the same thing. Maybe teensy saber. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, I bet you the teensy saber software and the Proffieboard is the same. So it's not a typo. I thought that's what it was. Anyway, you're going to scroll up. You're going to click download version 4.7. It's going to be a folder on your computer that once you downloaded it, it looks like this. I'll show you. I've already done it, so I already have it. Profi OS, it's just a folder. And when you go inside of it, it has all kinds of stuff here inside of it. We're not going to mess with none of it yet, except for one thing, which is I think is the next step. So we actually are going to mess with some of it. Make a config file, right? So we did that earlier. We made that config file, the top section, we changed clashes and volumes. The middle section, we set up some presets. If you got a Saber for me, you already got a bunch of presets on there. And then the bottom section was the buttons. We didn't really mess with that at all. But we need to get that config file inside this Profi OS stuff, right? So what you're going to do is read the instructions there, but you can also follow along with me. What you're going to do is you're going to go into the Profi 4.7 software that you downloaded. You're going to find the config folder, okay? Now these are all going to be these special types of files that on a Mac it shows it. They're going to be .h files. On a Windows it doesn't show it, but they're .h files. We're going to copy any one of these, okay? Any one of them you can copy and you're going to open it. Whatever's inside of it, you're going to delete it, and then you're going to go back to that config file that we created here. You're going to copy all that stuff, and we're going to go ahead and paste it into whatever file that you just copied, opened, and erased. The blank slate that you just made, you're going to paste it all there. Once you paste it in there, okay, you can close it and save it. Here, see, I already have one. Proffieboard, number of blades, clashing, volume. Here's a bunch of blade styles I have. Once you're done with it, okay, you can save it. And you're going to name it, okay, like the instructions say. If we go back to those instructions, sorry, I'm jumping around. Go back to those instructions. It says to name that file mysaber_config.h. See that? So this is mine right here, mysaber_config. Now it is a .h file, it just doesn't show it. See on the type there, H file. This is my config, so it's already there, but you need to have that. Then we can move on to the next step there. Number 4, we're going to open this Profi OS software in Arduino. And we're going to go to line 24 like it says here. And we're going to change line 24 to this right here. Define config file, config mysaber_config. So we're going to copy that. Okay, now it's already going to be there in mine because I've already done it, but I'm still going to show you. We're going to open that software that we downloaded. So we're going to go to File. We're going to go to Open. We're going to scroll down. We're going to find this right here, Profi OS, okay, which is actually inside of the folder that you downloaded. It is the Arduino file. So we're going to open that. Now here is where we scroll down. This is the Profi OS. We're going to scroll down to line 24. And then that's where we paste define config file, config mysaber_config. I've already done it, so it's already there. That's it, okay? So guess what? You are done. All you have to do now is you're going to take your Proffieboard, you're going to plug it up. Oh, there's one more. You're going to plug it up. One more step after this. You're going to plug it up. You're going to go to Tools. You're going to go to Port, which is right here. Make sure that you have the port selected that says Proffieboard. When I originally did this a long time ago, I did it and I was losing my mind trying to figure out what was going on, why it wasn't working. So select the Proffieboard port, which is the USB cable. Then you're good to go, okay? If it opens because it's trying to open it as a hard drive, don't worry about that. If it's doing that and going crazy, this is why, okay? It's doing that because it doesn't have an SD card in it. So I'm glad it's going crazy right now so that we can see this. See how it's going crazy? It's just trying to open this. Go ahead and take your SD card that you put your fonts on, stick it in there. So make sure you have your SD card in, guys. See, it's not doing it. So we're going to hook it up and we should be good. It should not go crazy on us now. If anything, it'll just open the SD card. That's fine, you can close it. And it's not doing it. Okay, anyway, we'll move on. So we got the SD card in, we have the Proffieboard set up, we made the configuration file. So now we're gonna upload all this onto the Proffieboard. So like I said, if you're doing an install, you have a Proffieboard, you have not installed it yet, you can do it like I'm doing it right now, where you can just do it all before you do the install. If you have a Saber already hooked up, oh, now it pops up. If you have a Saber already made, maybe it's made by me or somebody else, and you want to do, upload all this configuration that you just made on there, you can plug in the USB cord to that, whether the battery is in or out. When you plug your SD card into the Saber and you have a speaker there, it's going to play the boot sound. If you have the battery in, it'll play it clearly and you'll hear it. If you don't have the battery in, this USB cable still supplies some power to the board, so you might hear your speaker play some the boot sound, okay? But it's going to sound very fuzzy and very crackly. That's okay. That's just because it doesn't have enough power to actually put it through the speaker, right? So now we are going to upload the software. We finally made it to the end. See this arrow? It says upload. You're going to click it. Once you click it, it is going to say compiling sketch. There's going to be a status bar right here that shows it progressing. It's just putting everything together, and it's going to start downloading or uploading the configuration and all the software onto the Proffieboard. So we're just going to let that do that. We're going to watch it. If something goes wrong, this is the point where you'll get error codes. If you get error codes and you don't understand them and you can't figure it out, go to Facebook. You can join the group called Open Source Sabers. Go to that group, join it, post in there, talk about what your problems are, and that group has a lot of smart guys in there, me being one of them, who will try to help you out and get you going, okay? It's almost done compiling. Now, if it worked, it'll start a download, and just like it is right here, okay, and it will begin to download all of that configuration that we set up and all these files that we downloaded onto this Proffieboard, okay? What it is it's the entire operating system, okay? We just took an operating system and kind of configured it, built it how we wanted it to run. Now we're putting it on here. The only thing that's on the SD card is the sound fonts, right? So we're 50% done. So Dan, you're probably watching this video. I'm making this video for you. On that config file at the very bottom, I can probably just send it to you. Yeah, I can just send you the config file. Then you can just copy it and paste it into your folders, and then you can upload. You won't actually have to make a config file, Dan. I'll make all that for you. But if you ever want to change the blade styles, Dan, you're going to have to do like I showed you, where you go to FET263 style libraries and you copy paste all that code. That's how you do it. And again, if you need help, Dan, I'll help you out. So we see now that the download was successful. You are finished. Unplug your Proffieboard.